Hey, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Roosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Jessica Willis Fisher. She is a songwriter, performer, fiddle player, and author living here in Nashville.
Check it out. Yeah, I think that...
Sorry, what were you saying? I got distracted.
No. I think fiddle is such a beautiful accompanying instrument. We like all...
See, that's not how I came to fiddle at all, because I come from the Irish tradition.
Oh, okay. I love that.
It's not an accompaniment. It's the main...
That's you are the show, yeah.
And it's usually in concert with other things. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you may have like a fiddle guitar, but... the fiddle's also expected to be alongside the accordion or the flute or the whistle or something and marry to it really well. And together you become something more than just the sum of your parts, you know. And you learn a very deep catalog of tunes that are really old and are really, at times formulaic, but like in a really cool way. Like you learn the patterns and you learn those rhythms and those things. Maybe it's through lessons, maybe it's just through osmosis, just like listening a lot. Mm. And it's a very physical, social thing that's passed. It's not so much on the page, it's more about like being in the room and hearing that session happening or, you know, and you pick it up piece by piece. So, but that's not like the default of a fiddle in Nashville. Is like a completely different thing.
It's a totally different role.
Many times I've been like, I'm not a bluegrass fiddle player. Like, I'm not a country fiddle. Like, please don't look at me. Look at somebody else. You want to play a jig? I'm your girl. Yeah. But so it's a little outside the norm, I think, in Nashville.
Yeah. How has it been? So how long have you been sort of really involved in the Nashville music scene the way that you are now?
In 2022, that was a big year for me. Let me get my numbers right. Yeah. In 2022, I turned 30, and I put out my first solo record, and I published my first book. And that was all new things that I hadn't done before.
That's a lot in a year. So, that's a big...
And then the 2 years after that, I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not accomplishing enough. And before that, I had like a different life where I was in a family band.
There are so many things I want to touch on with you because your life seems like you've got so many fascinating things. So I guess before even jumping into all that, because I definitely want to explore some of this stuff because I think this is wild. But when you did get to Nashville in the sense that this was kind of home base, how did you find, just purely on a musical level, how did you find that? What were the expectations of? Because I understand you as really a fiddle player, as a violin player, really. What were your expectations in terms of the role of your instrument in music, and how is that different from the sort of the rest of what you had worked on up till that point?
Well, I don't want to, let's see. I think it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer, not a bad question, but like when I first got here, I was young and I did not aspire to be in the music industry. And so being homeschooled, being in a family band, it was like what I was told to do. And spoiler alert, part of my experience in all of that with my family was like some really toxic things. So there were some abusive things in there. So I didn't even really have a choice to not. Like not feeling like I was good enough at fiddle, not really from an inner doubt, but from what I was being told. And going through some really hard things in connection with that. I still found a love for it. Loved doing music and expressing. And I think it was songwriting that kept me in music and why I still do music now is because I fell in love with a way of expressing and trying to connect with other people through making art. And the fiddle, learning the fiddle foundation that I had from Irish music really shaped me as a composer and songwriter because the rhythms, the melodies, and the storytelling were all there in that tradition. Coming into town, I felt a thread that connected them. Like you do go into a bluegrass tune or into an old kind of country song, and I'm like, oh, I can hear how that's related to Irish music. It's just a piece of what made bluegrass and country. There's black music, there's Appalachian traditions and everything, but like the fiddle and the Celtic music is a thread in there. So that was the part that I recognized. But in a lot of ways, I haven't felt like I'm in the middle of, I've just never been in the middle or the target or the mainstream of this town at the same time.
That's got to be, no, it makes absolute sense. I think that's really interesting that you felt like you could, that experience that you had with that music, you could see it in what's out here.
It's a recognition, you know, and an appreciation that translates when I would be around it. There's less of still a beautiful, vibrant Irish music scene and players here. Comparatively to Chicago, though, way less. Like, especially when I moved here and I didn't know how to find it and I was a kid. So even for the people that were here, I wasn't really open to have access to them and with them. But yeah, meeting other family bands, a lot of times they were more bluegrassy, and immediately recognizing the deep, like almost nerdiness of, oh, these are my heroes and these are the people I've diligently studied and these are the tunes you have to know and these are the songs you have to learn. It's a tradition that you're participating in. And so maybe a little bit less so, or a little bit more, you know, industry forward when we got to play on the Grand Ole Opry, realizing that the people that were there, even if they were the newest star, they were on the radio or something, like, you talk to them about what made them fall and like who did they study, who made them fall in love with music. And it just felt like, oh great, I have a bunch of new homework. And sometimes it was like the imposter element, or really just like, oh, it's exciting because now my friend can bring over the box set of Roger Miller and we can sit down and it's going to change me as a songwriter. Yeah. And I'm like, this is another, you know, there's more things that we haven't even discovered yet that we're going to love, people or art or things like that. So, yeah.
So what, big question.
Okay.
Give me some context for your musical origin story, because it's, from what I've gathered, it's very, very interesting.
So definitely there's some church music in there. I know that's a thread for a lot of people. I had people in my family that did music, both of my parents. My mom did some guitar, sang with her sister. My dad played piano, he composed. Neither of them were professional musicians, but they did have a history of playing music with family and in church. And then beyond that, grandparents, great-grandparents also. But nobody was like making it their main way of life. It was a thing to enrich life that we did together. We would sing at Christmas or gatherings. And then I think a key part is the second sibling in our family. I'm the oldest of 12. The second oldest, my brother, was really, really interested in and then also really good at both music and dance. And is a little bit of more like story time, but my brother was very interested in dance. My parents saw river dance in the 90s, and as opposed to, my brother seemed pretty into ballet, and my dad was like, no. But he was like, they can do Irish dance. So we started doing Irish dance, and our dance teacher sent us to the Celtic Music Festival.
Oh, okay.
And we saw it live. And there, you know, we hadn't ever seen rock and roll. We hadn't ever seen church music, kids music, and then the exposure to the Irish music was extremely, and we would get up and do our little steps. It was extremely, energetic, and I'll just,
I feel like it must have
speaking to my
like
family, I'll just speak for myself.
Like,
It was just like, oh my gosh. And then we were really young, and my brother started learning to play Irish whistle, and he was really good at it. And pretty soon, like maybe within that year, there was this experience where we saw those bands again, and he was able to like take his whistle out of his sleeve and like play their own tune for them, like blazing fast. And he got pulled up on stage to play, and then it was like really cool things can happen. Like, this is accessible. And so for me, I was just like struggling along on fiddle. Like, this is so hard, but I got to keep up with my younger sibling, you know? So I think there was just, you're young and you're trying to figure out, one, what makes you belong in your family, what's going to get you the love and attention that like you have to have as a child. And also having experiences, some of what I now know were abusive experiences. I was also looking for words, information, and ways to express to try to understand those things. And that, I know I'm like bringing it up as part of the main story that I acknowledge, but for years that was like completely buried, like all the way under there. And it's taken time for me, lots of therapy, lots of reflection to like honor, admit, and understand that had to play a part in, I think, what I was drawn to and what I was interested in and what I was trying to do. I think words, story, information was like, I was always trying to learn. And I think stage has always intimidated me. That has not been my favorite. When I'm prepared and I'm in a safe place and I'm able to like be in the right headspace, it's really fun. It's really fun. I love connecting with people. I love sharing something that I've made. And then the magic of what happens, like the other half, like you do your half, and then you don't know what that other half is going to be, how it's going to land. But I don't get this, like, I have to get the hit of the stage. I'm like, let me make my thing. Let me share it with other friends and peers. And like, it was really formative to find other young musicians, songwriters, players, and then have usually like at 2 a.m. after a festival or at a hangout or something, and just like, this is what I've written, and them not be like, ew, gross. They're just like, yeah, cool, now here's what I've written. And that really played a big part as well. And then there's the kind of domination years of family band where that was his whole own thing. Getting out of that, and then I would say the latest chapter has been being my own person, under my own name, using my own voice, telling my own stories. And so that's kind of the latest chapter. I guess I sort of worked into trying to like...
That answered perfectly.
Explain the eras.
How many, so of your siblings, how many of you are musicians or do play music seriously?
Sort of all of us, sort of none of us. So like during the family band days, roughly speaking, nobody really had a choice. Everybody was forced to do something. People at different levels of things they were interested in, whether it be dance, music. Again, I was really drawn to the writing, so was doing that even when I wasn't told to do that. But then it was sort of used by the family band. But there are other siblings that play way more instruments than me. But there's really, like, nobody's doing it as a job.
Okay.
I have one sister that, I do have one sister that's doing music as a job. She went to Blackbird. And she
very nice.
works there and works at different studios. And so she does engineering. And I've heard stuff that she's written and played. We've played a few shows together. I would love to do more with her in the future. But she's really talented. She's just a really hard worker.
That's amazing.
And it's crazy to see her having her freedom much younger than us older kids did. And she's really ran with that, I think.
That's beautiful. That's
and
so
she
nice.
has such a passion for it, so we connect on that.
That's great.
And some of the other siblings, like, we still have a love for, and it may just come up at like Christmas time or if we're gathering. Yeah,
I'm the oldest of 4, and all of us played music growing up, but now, I mean, I'm the only one stupid enough to, like, do this in any kind of serious way at this point.
What did you guys? Did you play different things?
We all played different things. So I played guitar really primarily growing up. My brother underneath me, he's a great piano player and also a great drummer. And then my other brother is a drummer, and then my sister plays bass.
2 drummers in the family?
So yeah, drummer. My other brother's really a piano player. Like, that's really what he studied, but he also is a great drummer. And then my sister plays bass. So it was a nice little...
Cool. I mean, that's a good little band right there.
Ensemble right there.
Anybody sing? No?
In various ways, kind of all of us. Yeah, I'm really the only one who's seriously, wanted to sing, and I was really the only one who was a songwriter. But.
And do you have a lot of siblings or no?
I have one brother. He played
boring answer. No.
He played music like a little bit growing up.
Brian's dad's a great drummer.
Not like super seriously. He played that trumpet in the high school band.
Oh, trumpet. Okay, we never had any like brass or woodwinds.
That's probably a good thing, though. As someone who teaches middle school music, that's a very good thing.
My brother was not very good at the trumpet, and it would drive me fucking crazy having to listen to him practice.
Not being good at fiddle is...
That's
like a
right
dying
up there.
cat.
That's
like,
right
it's
up there.
not
Yeah.
good. It may not be as loud. Like, you can put a mute on it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, listening to bad trumpet is rough.
Your dad's a great musician, though.
He played guitar. So my dad was a drummer, and then I started on drums. And my brother played guitar a little bit, not super seriously. And then I learned guitar just from picking up his guitar and stuff. So I guess, if he kind of got me into it in that way. But
Yeah.
He never really took it seriously or tried that hard at it.
Sorry,
I hope you have a good soundproof room in the house.
No, it would be like we'd be recording. Everybody, shut up! It was
chaotic. I think that's my fear of having children, is that one of them ends up as a drummer. You know, it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Tell my husband you said that.
I feel bad for my mom. Yeah.
So how long did the family band era last in your life? Give me kind of.
In my mind, that was 2011 to 2016. The end was real hard. The beginning was gradual, but like, let's see, 2004, 2005-ish. Actually, it was St. Patrick's Day. I should know this. I think St. Patrick's Day 2005, where we had like one of our first gigs, not playing in front of our grandparents' living room, not a special at church. It was like, we're gonna play at this pub. When did you move? Okay, so there's this pub called Dan McGinnis that was right on, you know, like the naked statues that are all dancing on Demonbreun?
Yes.
Okay, you know how sometimes people dress them?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My family started that.
Really? Okay.
My mom is a really good seamstress, and
it's like national celebrities right here. Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It's just a fun fact. It's like framed on my mom's wall. The headline, like, naked statue. Not naked anymore. We made these really big, like, kilts and little like blouses, dress them for St. Patrick's Day. And so like every year we would play on St. Patrick's Day, and that was like our 1 gig a year. And then it became like a gig a month. Like it was gradual, and it would be something that Dad decided we're going to go do that, or we would get asked to do, I don't know, something that was an opening of a pub. And we, in 2011, had a reality TV show, and we had sort of like a little CD that we made that we like burned ourselves in like a little sweatshop of children. Just we played Dollywood, and that was really exciting for us. Oh my goodness, we did like a actually. So that there's you can point to different origin moments, but for us, like it was just, oh, you can get your kids to like listen to you and cooperate. Whoa, like what can they do? And some of it was music, some of it was dance. And we went to this open like casting call thing for Dollywood downtown Nashville, and we were doing a rehearsal, and we were sort of like in our pajamas, and like Mom was just sort of always like, she's really good with connecting with people. She was sort of like our manager, just like stirring things up all the time. And she's like, I just got a call. We can go down for this audition. Quick, get in the car. And we're like piling into the van. We're like, but we're in our BJs. And we're like, it's okay. They want us to come down. We get out there, and there's like people with headshots and full glam. And we're like, you know, and the youngest is probably like, well, the youngest in the act.
What's the age differential between everyone?
So I'm 33, and my youngest sibling is now 15.
Okay.
But at the time, we did not have, I don't think we had. Did we have all 12 kids by then? No, we didn't. My youngest siblings weren't even born at this time. But us older kids were doing stuff. And so we walk by all these people that are like really gussied up. And they were like, walk past the line. They made us walk right in. They were like, stand on that X and do your thing. So we like played a little like Irishy tune. We like sing. And they were like, can you sing anything together? And we all like looked at each other. Like, I was like, I don't want to sing. Nobody really liked to sing. And we were like, wait, we know this one like church gospel song that we do in 4-part harmony. So just on the spot, we were like, okay. And we sang this song called Cabin in Glory in harmony. And they were like, great, we're booking you for our bluegrass festival. And we were like, we don't play bluegrass. And I was like, shh, we're gonna.
Don't say anything.
So it was just really, you know, like here's a little opportunity, just very kind of chaotic. And we made this album that I'm really glad is no longer officially like out there at all. 2012, we retired, hung up our competition hats. We went to Ireland and we won the World Championships of Irish Music.
Oh, that's amazing.
In the band competition with some of our friends. And that was really cool. And like in my mind, that's when I was like, we are a real band. We have an album out that we made that has our name on it. We just won this competition. And yeah, from there it got really, really busy, really, really fast. And we did the Today Show, like America's Got, the Today Show search for like a modern Von Trapp family. Modern Sound of Music family, we did that. Each one of these stories is more complicated, but we did that. That led to America's Got Talent. That led to a TLC reality show. And that was kind of where we were and what we were doing. We had put out our 3rd album, and we were doing TV in 2016 when everything went.
So as a lot to cover there. I mean, again, your life is just
or just leave it.
Yeah, but I wanted to before we kind of because I want to hear about your kind of metamorphosis into this new stage of what you do. But I think just to give kind of listeners a little bit of context of where you're coming from, to hear how difficult I'm sure that leap is to make. Like, what was that like for you to be in the midst of all that, especially to have something like a reality television show where I'm sure that feels very, as someone who's not experienced that, I imagine it feels very invasive. I imagine it feels very, very alien to someone. I mean,
it feels, that's a proper term when it comes to me personally, because I just don't think that, you know, in my mind, we're not, I know there's cameras here, but like, I just like, we're talking and I like a longer form thing. Yeah. Like, I like talking to people about art. And you can express context. I like hearing like, what was your experience, but just, and connection. But the camera part, I think a lot of the social media part, like, I really think I don't want to conflate my experience, my personality with like all of humanity, but I don't know how much of this is natural for any of us. It's definitely not natural for me. Some wisdom right there, yeah. You know, and I think that what's tough when you look back is how crazy making a scenario, like it really was, to have so much going on, so many layers of things. Like, it was a tinderbox. It felt like there was a bomb strapped to my chest because there was some really bad things that have gone on for so long. But then you had this bright light in your face, and it was like, keep doing the performance. Don't let the secret out. Don't let the within that entire experience, it felt like the mask was on the whole time. I use that specific metaphor, and it's been really wonderful and surreal and everything for me to have writing and, you know, writing prose, writing memoir as part of what I've been able to do, because I have been able to reflect on a lot of these things and speak a lot about them in a way where, should I not want, because it can be hard to get into it, like, in a physical space with people with their energies, like, hey, let's bring up this really hard topic. And it's like, we don't have to go there, but like, I'm very comfortable going there. I go there all the time. It's like a big part of my life, and even like very meaningful, do a lot of advocacy work talking about these things. So like, I'm cool about it, cool with it, and just like versed in it. But yeah, I remember in my book, there's like a whole section where I was like trying to articulate a very, very complicated situation and feeling like, you know, you're kind of like a puppet, like dancing, and you got your mask on. It's like, don't let the smile slip. Like, that was a lot of what that time was like. And at the same time, if you like super zoom in, beat by beat, like there were some really rich, beautiful, amazing opportunities and experiences that we had. It was almost a whiplash of that, of like, this dream is coming true, or this friendship's being made, or we're playing Radio City Music Hall. Boom, this horrible thing just happened. Now get out. And, you know, I really imagine tough. It's so difficult retrospectively. Again, as someone who's not been through that, I imagine that it's very difficult to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because I'm sure that there were absolutely beautiful experiences and just cool things that you got to do, and not want, like, being able to somehow accept that and think that that's fantastic, but also that I imagine it's a very difficult dance to have to go through in your mind. Sometimes literally. The acceptance. Well, humor, we'll use that when we can. I think it's amazing what people can, like, as human beings, how resilient people can be, but also like the damage that you do take on from that stuff is like really serious. Health issues, emotional, like, I will be making sense of this shit for the rest of my life. And I will be taking all the help I can get. I will be doing all the work that I can be doing. And there are still really hard days. I think that I'm extremely lucky. Not to be beating around the bush, but just also to be saying it, like, my dad was abusive in every way that a person can be, pretty much. And so there's sexual abuse, there's domestic violence, all this stuff. And it, you know, escalated towards the end. And so that was, you know, it was sort of this thing, like, am I going to get out, or is it going to escalate to the point where I don't make it out? We are not sure until we get to the other side of it. And that, the seriousness of that, I really kind of went into the emergency room of life. It was like, oh, you know, and I got a lot of help once I got there. And once I reached out for help, when I spoke up, I was believed in the times and the places that it mattered. The system worked for me. And it's wild now to be where I'm at, not just on stage or with a group of peers of writers or musicians, but any gathering. I see if not primarily, significantly as a group of survivors of similar things to me. I may never know that. They may not ever tell that to me or anyone else, but from what we know of the numbers, which are probably vastly underreported, like everybody either has gone through some sort of like childhood abuse or something, or they're going to know and love someone at some point in their life that has. Like that's how ubiquitous it is. And if you go to the most extreme, most like, people are like, well, not everybody's one of 12 kids. Not everyone grew up in like a religious cult thing or was on reality TV or had a band. Like, yeah, the combination of that is quite singular. But how many oldest girls from big Christian family bands? Like, you'd be astounded how many of us there are. And we like talk to each other. And we're all just kind of looking at each other going like, the fact that we're alive is a victory. And if we never do music, if we never owe anyone our stories or anything else, like to just not repeat those things and to just be here and to choose something different for ourselves and build something new is like a really big thing. And I don't think that I should ever be putting, let alone an industry or even an art or a passion that I really like above like being physically safe, being mentally safe, being healthy. Because those things were all at the cost of that. That's what I was paying with, you know, during the most successful years of my life, you know, also the worst times ever.
And I those words are a lot more difficult to get to, I'm sure, than they are to say. And to just be, I mean, to even just be able to
like learn them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To learn that they apply to you. And to,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
At this point, I mean, you're now fully immersed in sort of what I would think to call like your presentation of music, right? You write your own music. It's sort of your singular thing. I mean, obviously you're doing that with other very talented people. At what point in your life did that start to take over? Even prior to being able to kind of make that jump, where that was where you're, you know, on a sort of business level, that's where you were going. But at what point did that start to be something that you really focused on as an individual?
Yeah. So I did have to do a pretty hard clean break from the family band. I also just was like, I want to go into witness protection. I never want to see a camera or a person ever. I need to hide. And that was really tough. And just doing kind of full-time therapy and I was unsure which parts of it were toxic. Was it that, like, what do I need to cut out of my life so that I can build a healthier one? Is it music? Is it homeschooling? Is it
not to interrupt, but as someone who's not experienced that, I imagine that part of what's difficult too, if that is your entire life, is that's all you know. That's the experience you have in life, and so I would imagine it's very difficult to kind of parse through those things, and be able to say, okay, this is this thing over here that I find is really a bad thing in life. This thing over here, this is a good. I can imagine that filtration process is kind of stunted because it's just all you experience. I can't imagine how hard that is to be able to learn that.
Well, I think the idea of whatever we've experienced that we don't know what we haven't experienced can apply to, I mean, everybody, you know, like whatever your normal is, and to come to the understanding that your normal is so wrong, so unhealthy. I think that helped me in some ways, or I allowed it to help me. And I was like, okay, it's so bad. It's like if you get a really bad diagnosis and it's like, you're going to die unless you make these changes now. It was like, that was a level of severity that I kind of took in. And I was like, okay, great. We're going to pause everything. We're going to get our priorities in order. Like, everything's been backwards. We need to totally rebuild. We're going to all to the ground and rebuild it from the ground up. And acquiring vocabulary so that I actually knew what it was that happened to me and could articulate it if I chose to was like really empowering. And then and things don't happen. Like, it's in my music now, you know, like healing not happening in a straight line. Like, that's something that I learned, and then it ends up in my song because it's like, this is a truth that I've experienced. Or finding beauty in the wounds. It's like, that also is something that I've experienced. My song Seeds, like, still having doubts of going, well, everything, I have to rethink everything. I have to start over. How do I not be in a bad situation? Is it this road? Is it that road? And like, I don't feel like I have clear guideposts. You know, I'm figuring this out and this is hard. And so that is all. I never want it to come across like I have all the answers to those things. But eventually music did come back around as such a helpful tool. I almost was using it too much because it was the only therapeutic thing that I had. And at some point it was like, this is not going to actually save your life again. Like, you have to get other tools in your toolbox. So lifelong quest of acquiring more tools and then saying, wow, music is still an amazing tool. This does not need to be something that I leave behind. I have a genuine love for it, and it is so, so valuable because art and music, it's an expression. It's that connection. It's joy. It can hold grief. It can tell the truth. It can all these things. And so realizing like, wow, how cool that I have access to this, that this is something that I did have experience in and skills in, to the point where I actually have a road where I can do some stuff with this. Like, these are the cards that I'm holding. All right, I am in charge of playing them now. And so didn't want to rush back into music or rush back into being in front of people. I was like, I need to know who I am, what I want to say. It felt like a lot of responsibility to just, not survivor's guilt, I would say, but still to this day, I think I only personally know one other person who can say that their abuser is like behind bars. Everyone else that I know is still out there contending with that, you know, whether it's fear or just that ongoing tension of like, I've been given a much safer place than so many of the other people that I know. What do I do with that now that I have that thing I didn't think I could have for 24 years? I was 24 before I got out. And so I'm just trying to live as much as I can in the meantime, you know, like a second chance at life.
I mean, that's beautiful that you can have that outlook on it at this point in life too. I mean, all right, a quick pause to tell you about something local that I really believe in. Our friend Joe just launched Neon Belly MMA in East Nashville, and I'll say this, I've known and grappled with Joe for years. He's been my Muay Thai and MMA coach for a while now, so when I tell you he knows what he's doing, I'm just a little bit biased.
It's a community-focused martial arts gym offering group classes and personal training for folks of all experience levels.
What I respect most about what Joe's building is that it's not just about fighting. It's about learning real, practical self-defense while also improving your mental health, pushing yourself physically, learning to think under pressure, and doing it in a safe, inclusive environment with good people.
If you've ever thought about training but felt intimidated, this is that entry point.
And right now, they're doing 2 great promos for listeners of this podcast. The first 20 people get 2 weeks free, and if you sign up with a friend, you both get your second month free.
Go follow them on Instagram at neon_belly MMA and check out neonbellymma.com. If you're in East Nashville and you've been looking for something that challenges you in the best way, this might be it.
All right, back to the show. Your book was published in 2022. When you started writing that, did you find that I imagine having that outlet as well in tandem with music did a lot for you? Yeah, and I actually, right before I admitted to myself, oh, I'm like writing a book, I was watching an interview with well, I'd seen a bunch, but I remember specifically seeing one pop up of Carly Pierce, who had met her. She's very, very nice. And she was talking about, like, all I wanted to do was be, like, a country music singer. I wanted to be on the Opry. And I had this, like, weird thing of being like, that's not me. Like, interesting, like, what I'm doing that I love so much and that I'm lucky to do is not the thing. There's not this continuity of, like, that was my dream, and here I am doing this dream. And it wasn't like I was sad, but then I went, wait a second, what was my dream? Didn't I have one? And it was like, of course you did. You wanted to be J.R.R. Tolkien. Like, you wanted to write books. And it was like, oh, I understand the appeal of the songwriting was like, there was this moment where I was like, this is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to my dream. So I was like in it for the writing, so to speak. And then there's this weird, like, you have a story. You have this really dramatic, complicated story that can hold up to a long, like, sit down, let me tell you this story. And it shifted from, this is my therapy homework, this has been my outlet, this has been my catharsis, to like, I'm actually going to switch how I'm thinking about this, and I'm going to write this book
because it's my story and I have a right to do that if I want. And it's a dream that I have, and maybe those things overlap. And so it was really surreal to do that and then put that out.
When you started writing, did you sort of fall into it in the sense that, was there a day where you said, okay, I'm going to write a book, and you sat down at the typewriter, so to speak, and began, or was it more twisting than that? Did you have?
It was. I've written half a book already.
That's kind of what I figured.
And I've journaled my whole life, and I was going back for that therapy homework of like, I was kind of true crime researching my own story, because I was comparing what I had set down in journals, and then like, because just psychologically, the therapy work, that was the real work that had nothing to do with whether anybody else ever heard about it or not, was me taking these very, very dissociated parts of myself and my story and trying to reintegrate them. And I kind of go into it in the book. There's like this invisible little girl who like went through these things, and we shoved her down in the corner, and she is just supposed to stay silent and like be invisible. And then, there's this performing part, and there's, and to kind of pull all those parts together and be like, all of these are me, all of these different stories are one story, and it's how I got here. And, finding the video clips of us smiling and being on stage, and then find the journal entry and go, yep, those are in the same 24 hours. I can't believe that was my reality. Actually, I can believe my reality. That was my reality. Like, that was just my work that I was doing. And words, again, like, wow, what an amazing vehicle, tool, to be able to process those things.
So while you were writing the book, I imagine you were also writing the album that came out that same year, Brand New Day.
It was around that time.
Did it feel like that process was one and the same, or did it feel like, okay, I'm going through this, this very heavy, involved process of writing this book, of figuring out all of this internal experience, but then also I get to write songs over here, or was it really one and the same?
Yes. It was all kind of one and the same. And for me, like, I'm just kind of laughing to myself because I've put certain things take different amounts of time. Yeah. So you can write a song in a day, less than a day. You can write a song in an hour. You cannot write a book in an hour. And to my great chagrin, but also great enjoyment, like what I'm currently doing before I came here, it has to do with what I'm wearing and like how I'm working on a novel. And apparently I'm a method writer.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. And like, I've written a whole 2 albums during writing this book, because I'm like 3.5 years in. But not until the book is out are people going to potentially, if they want, like be like, oh, I see. Like, I don't know. I'm always doing a lot of things at one time. So things will come out as songs. They will come out as poems. They will come out, apparently, as longer form. But whoo,
I love that. That's fantastic.
What's the word? The like running for a long time, you need stamina. The stamina required for 90,000 words is like wild.
Oh, like, yeah.
Yeah, writing a book seems like a crazy undertaking. I couldn't even imagine trying to do that.
When you went into record that album, was that the first time that you had been in that situation?
Yes.
Where you're the captain?
It was wild.
What was that like?
It was so wild. Well, at the end of it was so shocking to me how fast. I was like, this is apparently something that happens every day in Nashville. And yeah, I mean, I could talk about just that for a long time, but at the end of that day, I just started crying. There was the release of like such a draining but uplifting and exciting day. I was like, it was my own fault for like dancing in between. Oh my God, I love it so much. And then it was Danny Dugmore played steel and some electric guitar and stuff. And he's older. He's got this way. He like shuffles out and he's like, I've never seen the artist jump up and down and dance before. Like, and I was like, you don't understand. This is crazy for me. And I will say 2 things had to happen for me to even have, well, lots of things had to happen, but 2 things to shout out that really brought that particular day into being was, one, I did a Kickstarter, and it was really successful. It was so successful that it shocked me, and I got scared, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Took too long, had to pay a lot of taxes to the government. Don't do that. If you have a Kickstarter, do your project immediately. Secondly, I finally met the right person who, he didn't really know me from Adam. Ben Fowler, woo. We made 2 records together now. And we just met, and I was like, these are the songs. These are my, like, therapy. Like, I wrote these. I have to put these out. He listened. He's like, okay, how's this date? And I was like, what? So he pulled in a band. I was like, how about I'll bring songs and all the ideas that I can. I made some had demos, some had just work tapes. He called it an amazing band. And we had one main day. We had some follow-up stuff. But that day was just crazy to me how fast it went. And there I was, like, crying at the end. And I remember thinking, it can be like this. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. It's not the only way.
Yeah.
There's many ways. But that was really big for me, is that music isn't supposed to be traumatic. It isn't supposed to be, I barely survived that. It can be fun. It can be, doesn't mean it's not hard. Doesn't mean it's not challenging. Doesn't mean you're not working hard. But
the good stuff in life
my God, it doesn't have to. Right. And that was like one step of separating. I don't love the term separating baby with the bathwater. That's just religious trauma coming up there. But yeah, that idea of separating out the good nugget and being like, this is fine. I will take this with me. It doesn't have to be attached to all that stuff. And so that was a big day for me.
That
was a really big album for me. And I made a lot of that album with the approach of, if I never sing again, if I never release music, what do I want to say? And that helped me, because it was like, where do I go from here? And that gave me this way of doing something that was actionable. But then once I did it, it was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So very different energy.
Yeah, and as the saying goes, you have your whole life to write the first album, and that can be a little bit disorientating, I think, for some folks once that's done, to say, okay, like, what do we do next? Mm-hmm. So you're Blooming, your last album came out last year. Mm-hmm. How was that process different than the first one, or was it very similar?
It was very different to me because the energy was very different. I do feel I like and benefit from a sense of both of my records, my book that's out, the book I'm working on. Like, so much of my art is so rooted in my experience, my story. Like, I don't really have the thing where I have this song and I go, what am I supposed to feel about this song? Where did this song come from? Like, there's a lot of clarity in what I do. So it makes the stakes really high. Like, if someone is rejecting of it, like, that can be painful. But also it's like, I know I'm not doing it for them. Like, I have so much clarity that it's what hits so much stronger is when people do resonate with it. It's not some other version or some other fake thing. It's like a really, really from the vein thing for me. And then that having any sort of success or like life outside of me is like so cool.
Yeah.
And so I think it wasn't until after I made the second record and have had some time looking at it, I was like, oh, I see what this is. The first album is like surviving, and like this album is like thriving. It's like just the continued journey. There's less of like this focus on, well, I just survived this thing and now I'm learning to talk about it. It's like, we're learning all sorts of new, like there's a whole world out here kind of is something that you feel. And there's a lot more like, I think joy, but I think joy as resistance or joy as growth. And it's funny because if we're just talking about music or we're like jamming on some tunes or like singing some songs and like, you know, it's like one of the happier songs, I've had people just kind of get the wrong read of like, famously had someone tell me once, like, the only reason you're so happy is nothing bad has ever happened to you. And I was like, it's literally the opposite of that. It's that I have gotten through something that many things I didn't think I was going to survive. And that's where the joy comes from. That's where the, like, you can't really shut me up. You can't really like tell me no, because I've been at odds with my whole family. I've been at odds with my whole upbringing and known that I needed to make that change anyway. And also, instead of this, if this is the only thing I ever say, it's like, no, how do I do this for the rest of my life? And I think the longevity, sustainability question is a question that many people have in many areas of life. In artistry, independent artistry, that can be a tricky question. But one answer is just be doing it. Like, I will be doing it, whether it's singing songs, writing tunes, traveling as much as I can and sharing what I make with people, yeah, I will be doing that. Like, how much can I afford to do with my energy and my time and my money? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
And I think it's, as you, at least for myself, as I've gone through life, I've found that that calculus changes. And for myself, I found that, you know what, I'm always going to be doing this. There's no checking out of this thing. You still want to do it to the best of your ability, but you learn to sort of detach the expectation from the process of doing the thing.
Okay, so gardening comes to my mind. So if you listen to Blooming, obviously is in the title, there's like a lot of nature analogies. And there's the idea like, I'm going to plant these seeds. I'm going to do this thing. It's like, yeah, but we are not in control of the weather. We are not, like, all you have to do is go in with like, I'm going to do this, and be like, it's much more mysterious and mystical than that. And just practical and biological, and having like a year where I did all these things and then being like, oh yeah, no, we can't do that all the time. Like, we can't be the same level of productive all the time. Like, we don't know what storms are going to come with, you can go into the whole analogy, but it's been really helpful for me to think about staying rooted, and for me literally to go, oh, roots music is a big thing that has rooted me artistically. And my own story, my own experiences, those have pointed me towards some really big things, and leaning into that, exploring that, and knowing that nobody knows the future. I don't know exactly what I'm all going to be working on and doing, but feeling a real strong sense of purpose and a real strong sense of meaning in doing these things. I feel like I'm really lucky to be in that place. I just don't know in the different seasons how that's always going to like manifest. Yeah,
and no one can, and I think, but just even having that mindset does so much for one's mental.
It's the most natural.
Oh yeah.
Mindset, but it doesn't jive with
the
modernity. But I mean, how hard do you want to fight?
Yeah,
like against your own nature and.
So it seems like as a young person, your exposure to certain kinds of music was. Specialized, maybe not limited, but specialized. As you as you went through life, who were the songwriters that you were exposed to that you thought, oh damn, I can do, like, that's on the table? Like, who were the people that had that effect on you?
Well, I think one of the earliest lessons that I had was that many of those people I would never know their names, because I was participating in a tradition where the name was not the point. The tune, the song, it's like, and that's been around for a few hundred years. Sometimes you'd be like, oh, that was written by Robert Burns in the, days of corsets and, running away to village and write poems with your lover. And you're like, oh, okay, like there's a lot. And as a kid, there's a lot about it that you don't understand, and it's more of a mystery. And I really liked that actually was my first introduction, because I think it didn't make me go, that's a star, I want to be a star. It was like, okay, how do I contribute something that may vastly outlive me?
Yeah. It's like adding to a tapestry as opposed to just saying, I want to make whatever. Yeah.
Right. It would not be about me at all.
Yeah.
It would just mean that I did something well enough that other people would want to keep it around. After I was gone, and that would be just a cool way. And I probably won't know. Like, none of us really know how we'll be received after we're gone. So it wasn't necessarily like the Greek, Roman, like, we must achieve fame and go down in history. But it was like, yeah, there's nothing that felt more natural, more human than to and there were a lot of religious messages about like life and death and truth and like all of that. And presented with some really strong, hardline fundamentalist answers to that. And art was always sort of a counterpoint, where it was like, better make the right choice, better be on the right side, or you're going to be punished, or you're never going to see your loved ones again, or, oh, you can be in heaven, or this or that. And it was like, well, I don't know. Art was just something else, a bit more mystical. And I think that it's helped to have that through a lot of ups and downs of like deconstructing of different things. And there was like, Mozart was someone I heard about quite young, and I think I was like 7 or 9, and it was like, well, he wrote a symphony at this age, so I will pen my first, a little bit of just competition.
That's
like,
a good,
there was my brother, and there was Mozart. And it was let's get going. What if I die and I haven't left anything behind? And I had some family members that had passed, and they were kids, and I was a kid. And that I think also was, I've only in the last more recent years realized like, oh, that also was a part of it. Is why was I like, I have to learn how to leave something here? It was like, because those are children that I knew and loved, and they're not here anymore. And what do I have of them?
Yeah, and I think that's something that that dynamic is constantly at play in the artist's mind. And I find some people, I think this transcends art. I think this is something that's just present in the human experience broadly.
It's an existential question.
Yeah, and some people want to create whatever that creation is because they want something they want to leave something in the world. And other people create because they can't fathom not creating. And some people
both
some
of
people
those
want
resonate
both.
with me.
Yeah, and some people want both.
Yeah.
But I find that you
and
have
I think
to,
sometimes you create something because you want, so like,
yes,
you want to be seen as someone who does that.
Yes,
there's also
yes.
that.
Oh, yeah, no, but I find that tug of war is always interesting in the human mind because it's present in all things. I mean, you can obviously this goes beyond just music, but I find it's really fascinating because we're constantly building off of the progress of those that have come before us. And that's no more apparent than it is in traditional music. I mean, that's one of the things I love about traditional music is it's this distillation of the stuff worth remembering that I think is so beautiful.
I think that's a really beautiful. What did you say?
I would say it's the distillation of the stuff worth remembering in music.
I think that's really cool.
And every once in a while, Brian, I'll say something. That's
Quick, write it down. Someone recording this?
There you go. I hope so.
Clip it.
But I say that because that is the thing I fell in love with as a kid is that process. It's almost like watching. It's like watching the process of evolution in real time. Like you know what I mean? Like in this sense that like you get to see. You get to see why.
Homeschooler.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but none of us are. You get to see why
that, why those melodies or why those lyrics or why those, that harmony, whatever it might be. It's the stuff that people care about. It's the stuff that for whatever reason resonates with people. And that's something that you can only see trajected through time. I mean, you can't.
There's a sense of time to it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's like, my brain just wants to jump in on all sorts of different things. You also asked, like, who are some of your, and I sort of went with no favorites. Of course, I have plenty of favorites. Like, specifically, like, as a fiddle player, like, in Chicago, in the Irish tradition, there's, like, a Chicago Irish fiddle player, Liz Carroll, who just, like, Winifred Horton, she was in a band Solace, still is. Like, she's amazing. Liz Knowles, like, women, men, different people, like, there's this guy, Tommy Peoples. He's written so many tunes that it's just like, you want to play Tommy Peoples? And you're like, which one? That's just what we call the tunes. And there's like one workshop where he would come and he would sit and he'd be like, all right, we're going to learn this. And he would just like play a tune. And I was like, whoa, this is like the Legend in the Room. Interesting. And then he'd be like, smoke break. And he'd go outside. And so musically, people like Alison Krauss, like huge influence on me. Vocally, and she was someone that once we were in Nashville, her Union Station records, but I was just in Ireland in January playing an original song of mine on stage in Belfast, and Ron Block of Alison Krauss and Union Station fame was like playing with me, and like he's a friend, and so it's just like wild to feel that like a full circle moment of like, wow, little me would be so impressed right now. So stoked.
That's such a beautiful feeling though.
But like Ron's somebody who has such a love for the traditions, and like, it's like 2 a.m. and we're just like, more tunes, let's go. And it's pretty fun. So there's a long list of favorites, and I always want to be adding to them. And, coming from the homeschool Christian, like so much control over what we took in, sometimes my husband's like, wait, you haven't heard. I was on a road trip with my friend Alice Peacock. We were doing some co-bills, and between her, my husband, they're like, okay, Led Zeppelin. anything? And I'm like, what would I know them from?
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it the ah? And they're like, yes or no. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean.
That's my favorite thing I think about being a teacher is just turning kids on to cool shit. It's like, oh, you haven't heard Zeppelin? All right, well, that's going to change.
Yeah. Where I'm like, you haven't heard this old Irish man with no teeth in his head? Let me show you. So, yeah.
As a fiddle player, how does that work with your songwriting? Do you tend to write melody on fiddle and then translate, or how do you go about that process?
By and large, I've written mostly on piano or guitar, just the most rudimentary, just so that I can write. Fiddle features in arrangements. There's a fair amount of, I think the rootsiness is when I'm writing a song and maybe it's an A song, or like maybe it has a chorus to it, but then just as important is like the little tune that's in there that the whole band plays. And I have yet, like you've caught me in a moment here, where there's a lot of things that I'm working on. There's a deluxe version of Blooming that's coming because guess what? There were some more songs that belong in there. The perennials have bloomed, so they're back. And then I'm working on some collaborative things that are much more collaborative with some of my longtime friends in the Irish music scene, which has been really fun and feels like one of the most full circle things I've done musically because, I mean, maybe barring going back and doing a band with my siblings, which is not going to happen, by the way. Love them, but it's not happening. And we are all agreed upon the subject. But going back to doing a project of original music that is in that Irish tradition is like, oh, here is that contribution that I wanted to make in the area that is so the oldest love that I know artistically. And so that's been really fun. And it's almost like a retracing of the different people and connections that I've made. So that's underway. Writing a novel, which is wildly different than, let me remember what actually happened. It's a very different vibe than, what happens next? Yeah. So, sorry, I was just rambling. No, I don't know how I even got into that.
I'm curious. What's your?
How?
That's what we're here for.
This is your podcast.
What's your relationship to playing music live? Like, how do you? Some people I find that's really where the love stems from, and other people it's almost this secondary thing that is sort of can be irrelevant at times. But for you, what's that relationship like?
When it can be as little about performing or about numbers or about someone's reaction as possible, then I can enjoy it, and it can be pure as much as it can just be an extension of a pure love and a pure creation. Honestly, places where people listen. And like,
helps,
sorry, I'm showing my privilege here, but I'm like, I would rather not, like, I am not your, one, I just don't have the voice to yell over people. Like, I just can't do it. I'll lose my voice that quickly. But yeah, I mean, I really like performing when it's in a place where people want to come and participate and connect, maybe be seen, maybe have the experience of going, oh my God, me too, or be moved. My brain goes to like my origin moment of, oh, I can learn how to do this, and or I want to learn. I have the desire. We were playing as a family band. It was in that bar on one of the St. Patrick's Days. So it's loud. So people are not listening. Like they're throwing a beer, right? I'm underage. We're singing. And at that point, nobody was singing. And Dad was trying to get me to sing because it's a whole different thing to be an instrumental band.
Yeah.
Like Nashville's like, what is that? That's not a thing.
Yeah,
right?
we don't have very many of that.
We don't have
here.
that. That's all we had known, and that's all that we had ever been. But Dad had really pushed this. Like, there were like these 3 or 4 songs I was supposed to learn, and I was like, no. But I had become obsessed with Lorena McKennett's version of Alfred Noyes' poem, The Highwayman. She set it to music. It's like 10-minute song. It was this epic song. And I had become obsessed with it, and I had learned it. And Mom broke a string. She was like a guitar player at the time. And it was this super awkward, like, oh my gosh, put me out of my misery. The lights are on. We're on stage. All we know is how to play tunes, and we can't play our tune. It's so awkward. Tell a joke. No. And I just like closed my eyes and like sang this 10-minute song. And it was so wild because it was not just the pub, it was the parking lot of the pub, and they'd put this huge tent up, and it would be so loud and talking and everything, and everybody got silent. It was silent. And to me, it was like the song was doing that. Like I had sort of taken myself out, and I was just like, be a vessel, right? Like, you know, kind of
like panicked,
kind of just being like, this is all I know how to do. And opening my eyes, it was like, oh, well, that I'm interested in doing that. I can learn how to do that on purpose. Like that was kind of like a fluke, but it opened the door, and I was like, now that I will learn how to do, and I will participate in that, because that's the live version of that tradition, that thing. Like there's nothing quite like the live experience. Like, and it happens. It doesn't matter if your voice shakes. It doesn't matter if the imperfection almost, it's not the point, but like that's what makes it one of one.
Yeah, I was,
you know,
it's
like,
funny you say that. Like excuse me, I was for some of my classes this past week with the kids, and I was teaching them about auto-tune, and I was showing them like what this thing exactly. I was showing them like what this thing is and how people use it, right? And you know, starting off just the history of how people actually created this, because like we know the guy who created this, and then how this started to get assimilated into music, and just the history of it. But then it kind of started to morph into this conversation of like, you know, I'm sure depending on the kind of music that you're creating, there's a place for those kinds of things. It doesn't really enter into the world of stuff that I'm generally interested in. You know, I've dabbled in, I've messed around with things like that because I just think it's fun to see how that kind of stuff can interplay with music. But the thing that, like, the way I was trying to express it to them is like, I love art, whatever world of art you're functioning in, because I want to see the world through that person's eyes. Like if Brian creates a piece of music, you know, I love that piece of music because I can't create it. I mean, I can be moved by it. it can resonate with me, but it comes from the mind of the creator. And part of that is the human mind is flawed and imperfect. And to me,
it's one of one.
Exactly. And that's something, and again, like, it's not to like, you know, like auto-tune, fuck Melodyne. I don't mean it like that. Like but I find that the music the art that I'm compelled by, whatever shape it takes, it's singular, it's idiosyncratic, it's unique. And that's something that I feel like can be oftentimes especially in you know, the modern musical landscape, can really be lost. I mean, I love the weirdness of music. I love the weirdness of art. And that to me is it's such a precious part of being alive. And I wonder, like, even just hearing you say that, like, I wonder how much of that is the song. I mean, just the power of the song, and how much of that is the power of the human voice. I mean, God knows I love instrumental music, and I love the skills and expression of instruments, but there's something about the human voice that when that is,
well, scientifically, not as a scientist, but like what we learn about neuroscience is like there is nothing quite like hearing another human voice, hearing the specific voice of your mother or your lover, or like, it's wild to like, I love when you get little confirmations of, you know, something that you've felt, but I love that we don't know the answers to that, but I trust that, like, I've experienced that.
We've all we know it, and even if we can't articulate
why. And to your point about, you know, whether it's like auto-tune or different things, I'm not here to yuck on anybody's yum.
You can a little bit if you want.
Do whatever you want. But part of why I take that stance is like, just also, I will unabashedly be like, this is my favorite. And I think coming from, frankly, like really hardline fundamentalism, there's a right and wrong answer to everything, and like your eternal soul rides on, or the threat of physical punishment rides on you saying the right answer. It's like such a different vibe than being like, I think there's actually a lot more subjectivity just in life. I think our experiences and our stories shapes so much of who we are. I'm not saying there's no one truth or one, because I will debate with, I'll be like, this is the best song and this is so much better than that. Like, cause then you're just in my nerdy, like, I'll tell you why, but that's coming from passion. It's coming from what I just love. Like, I like it. You can tell me why I shouldn't like it. I like it. Yeah. Sorry, you can't really change my mind. But I'm also very open to, I'm constantly finding new stuff. And it's fun to play with like play with a toy. Mm-hmm. Oh, right?
Absolutely.
Play with a thing. And I mean, some people are playing with ChatGPT. I can't bring myself, I will not. But that's just me, because it's like, I don't like it. And like, anyway. But yeah, there's like a lot of amazing tools, but I think there's something different than being like, oh, look, I can do this with this tool. I can change the pitch. I can blah, 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 blah. That's almost completely separate, though, from here. Be here with me in this moment. That's what every performance is like. Be here with me and let's experience something. Mm-hmm. It's coming from, I mean, actually, as I'm saying that, there are other types of performances that do include technology and machines and like all this other stuff. But like the humanness, like I'm really in it for the humanness. So of course it's, that kind of brings certain genres to your mind. It brings certain artists to your mind. It, certain choices aesthetically and all of that. I just lean that way. Always. Yeah.
And again, like I don't think there's a right or wrong approach to take. I just know sort of without sounding silly, I just sort of know in my heart the art that moves me, and it tends to lean very heavily in one direction.
There you go.
And I think that's kind of true for most people. I think there's something to that is compelling to the human soul.
I think it's compelling to the human soul. I think when you talk about the numbers and the way that a lot of the industry looks at things, I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that are engaging with stuff that doesn't seem to have that as the priority as much. So I don't know. I just can't speak for those people. Yeah. I can't speak for that approach because it's not me.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah, it's if nothing else, I think it kind of makes you feel. We live in a time where those things, and this may not be unique to our time, but it can feel like we live in a time where those things aren't prioritized necessarily, but I think that there's such a desire for it that it's like there's no other time I'd rather be making. Yeah. There's no other time I'd rather be making music.
I think it always will be amongst like groups of people like us.
Yeah, crazy people.
Yeah,
you just gotta find your people.
You so what it seems like you've got a lot on your plate currently. What's the battle plan? What's next on the agenda for you?
Have I given it all away already? Yeah, we've got Blooming Deluxe coming this spring. I just put out the first song that's kind of heading that up. It's called Your Season. And I do think a forecast for this upcoming chapters is more collaboration, where understandably, after being part of such like a, for better, for worse, chaotic, lots of people involved, to be like, just my voice, my story, figure this out. And we've been on a journey back to like, how do I do this not only for the rest of my life, but with my friends? Like, and how do I enlarge my world? How do I stay connected to myself and what I really care about? So I just did this song with the Burney sisters, who I love, and they're very talented. And then we've got a few more songs coming from Blooming, and then we've got that Irish exploration happening. It's supposed to be, if the battle plan, play plan, I don't know. If the plan goes to plan, it'll be a very productive year, because there's just been a number of years of stirring all sorts of pots. So I would love to sell my novel this. Let me just manifest for a second.
Go for it.
I would love to sell my novel this year. I have nothing I can say yet. A few different friends from across genres that I just like picked up the phone and was like, "Hey, I wrote this song. Do you want to cut it?" It was like the silliest thing. I've never done it. They were like, "Yes," and so that was fun. Like, just we're trying new things that we haven't tried.
Love it.
We're just, like, have you seen the person who? Because this is sort of ties in with the Blooming. Maybe I should do this too. There's a person who gets like a salt shaker, or like a shaker with a bunch of wildflower seeds. He just like pedals down and he like sprinkles the seeds, like chaos sowing flowers in like the median and like just everywhere that's like ugly in the world, but maybe could support some life. He just like sprinkles that everywhere. So I've been doing that for the last 3 years straight. That's what we've been doing.
Good. The world needs more of that.
So we'll see what blooms, shall we?
Yeah, there we go. I love that. That sounds fantastic. Well, this was awesome. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see those performances because they sounded great. This was a ton of fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
There was so much stuff to jump into, and I'm so glad that we got to.
We went for a wide field.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Well, thank you very much. That was great.
Thank you for having me.
That was fantastic.
Same time next week, everyone.
There we go. I love it.